On 7's Gold Coast News, 3 teenagers charged over a stolen car spree from Melbourne to Nerang.
Bring him back, a grieving father's plea to a premier.
The supercar street circuit takes shape at Main Beach.
A warning about TikTok fitness videos, how they're harming our kids.
And new holidays on offer from the Gold Coast, the major airlines offering cheap flights.
Live from the Gold Coast, 7 News with Amanda Abate and Steve Titmus.
Good evening, everyone. A Gold Coast father is pleading with the Victorian Premier to help bring his son's killer back to Australia.
Jacinta Allen is in India for a trade mission, but she's being urged to put pressure on officials over fugitive Puneet.
He's been a grieving father for 16 years.
We all want to see closure.
Peter Hoftsey's son Dean was 19 years old when he was killed by a hit-and-run driver in Melbourne. Puneet pleaded guilty, but when granted bail, he fled to India to avoid sentencing.
This matter hangs over our head, and really we want to see Puneet brought to justice and the matter finalised once and for all.
Extradition proceedings were adjourned last month for a further hearing in December.
It should not be beyond Jacinta Allen to ask the questions and to demand responses.
I support, the Victorian government supports his extradition back to Victoria.
Last night, Jacinta Allen met with the Australian High Commissioner to India.
Already there has been strong cooperation.
It's been a part of our life now. Well, it'll be a part of our life forever. But it'd be nice to see that chapter closed.
Asking for a fugitive to finally face justice. Georgia Holland, 7 Gold Coast News.
3 Victorian teenagers have been arrested in Nerang, allegedly with 2 stolen cars and 10 sets of keys. Police say their crime spree began 1,800 kilometres away in Melbourne.
Just after midnight in Merrimack, and 2 allegedly stolen cars are caught on security video travelling in a convoy through a usually quiet street.
Just so scary, and the thing is we don't know how they got in. It's so scary, and knowing our kids were here, that's really all we care about.
Just minutes earlier, the Range Rover had allegedly been stolen from a young family while they were sleeping.
I woke up at 5 a.m. We were looking for the car keys, couldn't find them, and we noticed the car was gone. And at that point I realised that someone had broken into the house.
Police say a 15-year-old girl and 2 14-year-old boys were behind the wheel.
For such a young age, they've got quite the rap sheet.
A day earlier, they're accused of stealing the BMW from a Brisbane home.
He showed me knife, and I don't want to give him a car, but they showed me knife.
The owners of the Range Rover were able to track their car to this 7-Eleven in Ashmore. They say the thieves had tried to use their credit cards to buy gift cards. When they declined, they tried stealing them. By the time the owners arrived here, their car was long gone, and police told them to stop tracking it because it was getting too dangerous. Little did they know the teens had already been arrested in the car park of McDonald's at Nerang.
The manager there rang and said, look, I've got 2 cars in the car park. They've been there a few hours. Got a couple of kids in it. I'm pretty sure that they're stolen cars. It stopped potentially what was going to be a further crime spree.
Police say the trio had already travelled 1,800 kilometres from Melbourne in another stolen car.
It's concerning that you've got kids at that age driving 1,500 to 2,000 kilometres from Melbourne in stolen cars.
They face court today, charged with a string of offences, but more could be coming.
They were located with 10 sets of keys, so we don't know if they've done break-ins on the way.
As police piece this crime spree together. Paige Van Lunteren, 7 Gold Coast News.
To Mel Whiteman now. And Mel, as we just said, the teenagers' cases were heard in court today.
Yes, Steve, at least 2 remain behind bars tonight, but we can't tell you about the third as his lawyer made an application to exclude media from the court. The 14-year-old girl's lawyer also tried to, but the media was able to successfully fight it and listen to her application for bail. The court heard the teenager was already on bail in Victoria and had breached it before taking off to the Gold Coast. She sat quietly in the dock and nodded as the magistrate explained explained he was refusing her bail as it was too risky to allow her out in the community. Her case was adjourned to next month. The other boy didn't appear or make an application for bail. His matter was adjourned to Wednesday. The teenagers are facing serious charges including robbery, unlawful use of motor vehicles and bringing stolen good into Queensland.
Okay, Mel Whiteman there with the latest. Well, Queensland has the unenviable title of the crime capital of the country. On the Gold Coast, the number of residents becoming victims of physical crime has surged by 153% since 2015. The analysis of Queensland Police Service statistics didn't include offences such as break-ins and stolen cars. There are more victims of crime in Queensland than in both New South Wales and Victoria. A man in his 20s has been taken to the Gold Coast University Hospital after a crash on the M1. It's believed the collision happened about 4 a.m. yesterday at Oxenford. A number of lanes were blocked as emergency services responded. Paramedics say the man suffered leg injuries and was in a stable condition when he was taken to hospital.
Surfers Paradise is being transformed into the ultimate speed zone, with track work now underway for the GC 500. Construction on the 3-kilometre circuit began this morning, with sections of fence put up along the Gold Coast Highway.
There's no real changes to the setup. We've been doing this now, this configuration of the track since 2009.
It delivers $55 million in economic benefit to the city, and it's going to be fantastic. I think we'll get way above 200,000 people this year.
And this year's race weekend is October the 25th to the 27th.
If you're dreaming of a getaway, now is the time to book and save. Jetstar has announced new routes and cheap flights from the Gold Coast to New Zealand, but it isn't the only airline offering discounts.
Gates are opening for more flights with Jetstar from the Golden City across the ditch.
Gold Coast Airport will be the most connected airport in Australia to New Zealand.
Adding 2 more routes from Coolangatta, landing in Hamilton and Dunedin, and sale fares starting at $149 one way.
Adding to the existing New Zealand routes that we have today, which is Christchurch, Wellington, Auckland and Queenstown.
The extra services will offer more than 174,000 inbound seats over the next 3 years.
New Zealanders, I think, are the biggest visiting economy to southeast Queensland. A lot of New Zealanders living here that will go back, but also there's incredible things to do within really close proximity of Hamilton and Dunedin.
If booking a holiday is in your future, Virgin have launched a mammoth sale with flights from the Gold Coast to Sydney starting at $45. Locals can head to Melbourne for $59, while you can head to the country's capital for $50.
We've got really big ambitions to grow our overnight visitor expenditure to $44 billion by 2032.
The Virgin sale is a joint venture with Tourism Queensland to entice Aussies to book their next getaway.
73% of Australians are looking at a holiday and intending to take one,
alluring them to the Sunshine State.
And of that, 1 in 5 of those are looking at Queensland.
An incentive for a getaway without breaking the bank. Flights are on sale for the next 7 days.
And even though locals can't use those flight deals just yet, Danielle Bowen, there's still plenty of events to keep the kids entertained these holidays.
Steve, including Kids Takeover HOTA, there's plenty of free and ticketed events running for the next 2 weeks. Perfect for the littlies all the way up to the tweens, with an enchanted forest, arts and craft, even some free movies.
Seasons is a sustainable installation which we're standing in now. So over the last week, kids from schools have come in and helped us create this installation.
It is cozy, immersive and magical for the kids. We designed the lighting. We cut over 60 trees, over 700 cardboard cutouts.
Because a day isn't complete without fish and chips in the park. There's a food truck at Evandale Park, and with the sunshine set to continue over the coming week, there's plenty of time to enjoy the best of the school holiday fun.
OK, thank you, Danielle Bowen reporting there. Classic Aussie bands will hit the stage at Southport next year for the Red Hot Summer Tour. Icehouse and Noise Works, Eskimo Joe and Wolf Mother feature in the lineup. Pre-sale for the February show begins on Wednesday with general admission on Thursday. What a tour.
Yes, well now for a look at the weather for the start of the school holidays. Michelle, it was a cool start to the day.
Yes, cool and breezy today, and the figures don't tell the whole story. Coolangatta and the Seaway both had lows of 13 degrees, but add in the wind chill factor and it felt more like 7 degrees early this morning. The Gold Coast is in the far reaches of a cold air mass that's come all the way down from the Southern Ocean, and it's being pushed north by southeasterly winds. The strongest gusts on the Gold Coast hit 48 kilometres per hour. So while there was plenty of sunshine for the school holidays, the crowds had to brave the breeze, and many of the beaches were not looking their best. It was very blown out at Narrowneck, with a decent southerly swell smothered by the winds along the open stretches. On Wednesday afternoon, though, we're expecting a change in the wind direction, which should allow daytime temperatures to climb and make for some better beach mornings later in the week. I'll be back soon with the forecast.
Yeah, certainly cool in the wind. Still to come tonight, speed limit changes, why you'll soon be driving slower on the Gold Coast Highway.
An update on the RSV vaccine rollout, why it's being called the biggest health development in 30 years.
And the multi-million-dollar brewery upgrade, giving you a chance to taste a top drop.
In 7 News, finding cheap medications online
people are struggling to afford their medicines.
Is what you're buying safe?
If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Plus, from cut-price chemists to supermarkets, we compare the cost of everyday health items. A 7 News consumer report at 6 o'clock.
The speed limit is being lowered on the Gold Coast Highway at Burleigh Heads. Instead of 60 kilometres per hour, drivers will have to travel at 50 to help reduce collisions with koalas. The change starts near the intersection with Goodwin Terrace and ends north of the Tallabudgera Creek Bridge. Signs warning of the changes will be installed this month.
An uptake in free RSV vaccines is protecting Queensland children against respiratory disease and keeping them out of hospitals. The Chief Health Officer believes it's the most significant health development in decades.
Queensland is leading the nation when it comes to making sure the tiniest and most vulnerable are protected.
More than 10,000 babies have now had their RSV vaccine. It's a $31 million investment.
That investment has made the vaccine free since April. At the time, 108 babies were diagnosed with the respiratory virus.
In the last couple of weeks, that's down to just 8. This is incredible.
Hailed as the most significant public health development in decades.
This is certainly one of the most important medical developments that I have seen during my career over the last 30 years.
The virus is common, but hospitalisations have almost halved compared to last year.
The most common cause of hospitalisation of infants under the age of 12 months in Australia.
The latest data from the state government shows out of 364 children under 6 months of age hospitalised since the program started, only 8 were immunised.
No, it's terrible. And it's terribly frightening. And anyone who's experienced this.
All babies less than 8 months old are eligible for the free vaccine. Josh van Staden, 7 News.
A new study has shed light on just how much false and potentially dangerous information is floating about on social media. Flinders University studied 200 so-called Fitspiration videos on TikTok that offer advice about fitness and health. Researchers found 60% of the content was either misleading or simply wrong.
Promoting to children, kids, adolescents, that they should be documenting what they eat and be mindful of what they're eating without getting any proper guidance.
The findings come as the federal government presses ahead with banning social media for younger teenagers.
Stone and Wood Brewing has unveiled designs for a multi-million-dollar upgrade. A tasting room at the Moolumbar Brewery is the centrepiece of the $30 million renovation. The works will significantly increase the capacity and capability of the site while creating jobs. It's set to open before Christmas next year. Looks pretty good. Time for the day's sport with Sal.
Sal, it was Demolition Derby at the Sandown 500.
Yeah, the race day was littered with crashes. Hello, everyone. Coming up, Gold Coaster Brock Feeney denied top of the podium in a thriller. And the grand final rematch that didn't go the Titans' way.
Tomorrow
Now on Sunrise, dessert queen Tigger Mac is here with fun and easy cakes for the whole family.
Plus, be watching to win the ultimate fan experience with Katy Perry before she performs at the AFL Grand Final.
And we have 50 grand in prizes up for grabs. See you in the morning, Gold Coast.
In 7 News, a second assassination attempt on Donald Trump, a gunman arrested. The new warning on buying medications online. A bizarre court battle over a Donkey Kong score. Huge flight deals plus new international routes revealed. And special red carpet coverage from the Emmys. 7 News at 6.
Gold Coaster Brock Feeney was beaten by his Triple Eight teammate Will Brown in the Sandown 500 showdown. The Sunday race quickly turned into a demolition derby with the front of Will Davidson's and Kai Allen's Mustang completely ripped off. Will Brown managed to miss out on the carnage and grab the top spot with teammate Scott Pye. To the NRLW, and the Titans' finals hopes have been crushed after a historic 46-10 loss to Newcastle on Saturday. In their final home game of the season, the casualty ward grew. Star halfback Lauren Brown suffered a broken hand, while centre Jamie Chapman came off with a hamstring injury after playing 55 minutes. A draw for the Suns AFLW on the weekend against Greater Western Sydney for the local team's first game in the country's capital. With a 36-all finish, neither could score a final point to walk away with a win. However, some records were broken, with veteran Lauren Bella becoming the first to hit 50 games with the team. The Suns play against Geelong next Saturday at Carrara. Guys, hopefully the girls can get their win this weekend.
It's certainly worth celebrating the 50 games. Fantastic. Thanks, Sal.
Thank you.
Well, coming up soon, an honour for a cricket legend. Glenn McGrath receives an Order of Australia medal. See the moment he's given the award.
There was a chill in the air this morning. How long will it last? I'll have the school holiday forecast next.
In 7 News, a second assassination attempt on Donald Trump, a gunman arrested. The new warning on buying medications online. A bizarre court battle over a Donkey Kong score. Huge flight deals plus new international routes revealed. And special red carpet coverage from the Emmys. 7 News at 6.
In 7 News, finding cheap medications online.
People are struggling to afford their medicines.
Is what you're buying safe?
If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Plus, from cut price chemists to supermarkets, we compare the cost of everyday health items. A 7 News consumer report at 6 o'clock.
And let's go to Max Futcher to find out what the top stories are coming up shortly.
Steve, just ahead in the news at 6, a second assassination attempt on Donald Trump, a gunman arrested. The Southeast grandmother attacked and robbed in her own home. A bizarre court battle over a Donkey Kong score. The new warning on buying medications online. The Southeast school change, how long will it last? Huge flight deals plus new international routes revealed. And special red carpet coverage from the Emmys. Details coming up at 6.
Thank you, Max. Time for a check of the weather now. Michelle, it didn't really feel like spring today.
No, it was more of a throwback to winter, Amanda. Temperatures were only a degree or two below average, but it was the wind chill that made a huge difference in how it felt. The feels-like temperature was twice as cold as the minimums. Right now it's 18 degrees in Surfers Paradise, but that feels more like 14 degrees with chilly southeasterly winds. On the Gold Coast today, the official temperatures weren't so bad. It was 13 to 22 at the Seaway, Burleigh Heads and Coolangatta under clear skies, and 7 to 23 in Canungra. On the satellite, a southeasterly wind surge is being driven in part by a strong high in the Bight, and that is sending a cold air mass from the Southern Ocean all the way up into southern parts of Queensland. The high moves out of the Southern Ocean tomorrow and it'll head east and move offshore into the Coral Sea on Wednesday. And by Wednesday afternoon, we can expect a change in the winds with some warmth to follow. But tomorrow's conditions will be similar to today's, 11 to 22 degrees for Southport. Canungra and Tamborine are dipping down to 6 degrees and no rain on the cards. In Surfers Paradise, also 11 to 22 on the forecast and a mostly sunny day. If you're heading out on the water, south to southeasterly winds to 20 knots in the morning, and take note of the tide. Tomorrow's high will be around the height of the highest tides of the year. Checking the surf, and the points were the pick today for quality control. Many of the open beaches were just blown out with the southeasterly winds smothering the swell. Tomorrow the points will be protected again and should have waist to shoulder high waves. It'll be bigger on the exposed stretches but windy too. For the week ahead, the school holiday outlook involves plenty of sunshine with mostly sunny days. And with a change in the wind direction on Wednesday afternoon, Thursday begins a new trend with maximums in the high 20s. So Steve and Amanda, it is looking good for the start of the September break.
Oh, that is more like it. That's what we're talking about. Thank you, Michelle. And thank you for your company this evening.
We'll be back, of course, again tomorrow night at 5:30. On behalf of all the team, have a great night. The news at 6 with Max is starting in just a tick.